Please like this video. I really need your support right now. It's the only way this story can reach more people. Thank you so much for being here with me and for your support. She stepped in through the side gate alone, hair smooth, face like a cold stone. No cooler, no Scott. We were in our backyard in Austin, a frame of balloons drooping in the heat, paper plates stacked like a small fort on the patio table. I met her halfway between the pavers and the fence. You went with Scott to the garage, I told her, keeping my voice level. You're coming from the street, and there's no cooler. She didn't blink. I used the bathroom. You want to report too? You left with him, I pressed. 22 minutes. You walked in from the side gate. So you're counting my steps now? She tilted her head. Want to put a tracker on my car, Sheriff? Promise me on Ava's name that it was just a bathroom. For a hair of a second, her eyes twitched sideways. Then a small smile cut through. Let's go handle this by the cake, Mark. We can make it a show if that's your thing. If I'd known where that gate would lead, I would have ended the party on the spot and sent every last balloon into the trash. I didn't say anything. She glided past me toward the long table where my brother stood at the grill. People laughed at something he'd said. He always had timing, and she leaned to him like it was an accident, a hand brushing his forearm while he flipped burgers. They traded a low joke I wasn't invited to. She laughed with that old laugh I used to get at 2 in the morning when the house was quiet and we were the only people on earth. I took the spatula from Scott without a word. He grinned. Easy. Chill, man. I've got it. Go get the cooler we didn't need, I told him. Or just sit. I'll finish. I dropped my voice. You were gone 22 minutes. He had the nerve to look puzzled. That precise, huh? Yeah, I said. That precise. Ava ran up then, frosting on her cheek. Dad, is the piñata now? In 5, I told her, forcing a smile. Stay near the table, kiddo. Julia slid in next to my brother again, shoulder almost brushing his. Relax, Mark. It's a party, not a stakeout. I'm relaxed. I pointed to the stack of buns. You want to help? Put buns on plates. She ignored the plate, leaned to Scott's ear, whispered something I didn't get, then stepped away wearing that new, tight smile. Several of our friends glanced between us, reading more than I wanted them to. The music felt louder for a beat. I flipped meat like a machine and counted down the minutes until people would leave. When Ava swung the bat and cracked the piñata, everyone cheered. Julia clapped like a cheer captain. Scott yelled, "Home run, kiddo," and ruffled Ava's hair, too familiar for my taste. I met his eyes. He didn't look away. The last guest hugged us both and promised to text photos. It was dusk. The backyard looked like the last scene of a picnic. Cups on the grass, a paper crown under a chair, a plastic fork bent at the handle. I shut off the string lights. Julia started stacking plates with brisk efficiency, as if efficiency could erase a timeline. We need to talk, I told her. We just did, she shot back. You asked for a bathroom schedule during your daughter's birthday. You left with Scott. You came in from the gate. There's nothing casual about that. She set a stack of plates down too hard. You ruined the mood. Again, you want to make me swear on Ava? Classy. You dodged it. She held my stare. Or maybe your paranoia finally found a hobby. 22 minutes, I repeated. She shrugged. Congratulations, you can count to 22. I let the silence sit until it felt heavy. I'm not doing this tonight. Here's the new rule. No more whisper games at family gatherings. No more errands with my brother, and no more late arrivals without a call. Period. She snorted. Oh, we have rules now. Yeah, I said. We do. She didn't like that I'd set it flat, like a posted sign. Her mouth tightened. You can post your rules on the fridge. I'll be sure to color code them. Try the gate, I said. Maybe it leads to compliance. Her jaw twitched, the only crack in that cool mask. Keep talking like this in front of people, and you'll get what you're asking for. I'm not asking, I told her. I'm telling. Scott came back to hand me a bag of trash, trying to land on neutral ground. Need help hauling this to the curb? We're good, I said without looking at him. You can bounce. He stood there a second too long, then shrugged and wandered to the driveway. Julia watched him go with a face that didn't belong to a wife cleaning up after her kid's party. Finish here, I told her. I'm putting Ava to bed. She can stay up. It's her birthday. It was her birthday 5 hours ago, I said. Now it's bedtime. I found Ava sorting candy by color on the floor. I checked homework even though it was Saturday, read a short book she pretended not to like, and turned off the lamp while she pretended not to be asleep. When I came back out, Julia was on her phone by the sink, thumb flying. She locked it when I entered the kitchen. "I'll take the trash," she announced. "I'll take it," I answered, and lifted the bag from her hand. "Text your brother later if you need to compare bathroom schedules." She gave me that very small smile again. "You're not funny. Never tried to be." I set the trash by the curb, came back, and wiped down the counter because it was something to finish. The next morning, she acted like none of it had happened. She brought a travel mug to my side of the table. "I got your coffee the way you like it," she said lightly. "We can reset. Yesterday was loud." "That's new," I said. "Coffee diplomacy. It's called being nice. It's called a bandage. You could try meeting me halfway." "Halfway to what?" I asked. "To the side gate." She sighed. "I'm not doing this." "Then we're aligned," I answered. "We're not doing this. New schedule. I'll take Ava to school this week. Pickups Monday and Wednesday. You take Tuesday and Thursday. Friday will confirm by noon. No drop-ins from Scott. No, he was just passing by. And I'm changing the code on the side gate." She stared, surprised. "You're serious?" "I'm organized," I said. "There's a difference." She stood there with the coffee like a prop. "So now I need clearance to see your family?" "You need courtesy to blur boundaries," I replied. "And the blur is over." She tilted her head. "You really want to do this?" "I'm already doing it," I said, took the mug from her, and left it on the counter without drinking. Her face didn't crack, but the show had changed. She knew it. I knew it. We both went to work like it was a normal Monday. It wasn't. I drove north the next day after work, past the strip malls and subdivisions to my parents' place in Round Rock. The driveway was the same. 2 cars, a basketball hoop at a stubborn angle, a faded welcome mat that had seen better weather. Mom hugged me with that worried squeeze that said she heard some of the party noise from someone's phone. Dad sat at the kitchen table with the local paper like it was still 1998. "Your brother's in the garage," Mom told me, eyes cutting to my face. She didn't ask, but her mouth pressed thin. I found Scott at the workbench, fiddling with a socket set he didn't need. "We're going to keep this short," I told him. He didn't look up. "Good to see you too." Say to my face, "There's nothing going on with my wife." He finally turned, resting both hands on the bench like he'd rehearsed the pose. He waited. He always did that. Counted beats to see if you'd fill the space for him. "Say it," I repeated. He held the pause longer than a brother should. Then he went for the line that tried to flip the room. "Even if there was something, Mark, what would that say about you? You're predictable. Julie is not built for boredom." Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to more people. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. I let out a short laugh that wasn't friendly. There it is. The budget version of poetry. You take everything personally. You take what's not yours casually. I shot back. Hear me. No more side conversations. No more errands. You want to see Ava? Text me. You want to stop by? It's by appointment. And if you ever talk to Julia about me behind my back again, you won't talk to me at all. He raised his palms. You're not the only one in this family. I'm the only one with my name on my marriage, I answered. We clear. He shrugged. The shrug of a guy who wants to look above it. You're making a mess. Correction. I'm cleaning one. Mom stepped in from the kitchen with a dish towel, sensing thunder. Boys. We're done, I told her, not taking my eyes off him. He understands. Scott tried for a smile, saw I wasn't meeting him, and let it die. I walked out past the framed school photos and the shelf of old trophies that never mattered after age 20. I hugged Mom, told Dad I'd call him about the game on Sunday. In the car, I didn't turn on the radio. I just drove, making a list in my head. New code for the gate, lock the garage fridge, move the spare key from the planter, separate the joint account into budget lines. No speeches, just logistics. My mood matched the road shoulder, quiet and dry. At home that night, Julia was warm for an hour for the first time in weeks. She set the table for 3, made a simple dinner like old times, asked about my day with the soft voice she kept in a drawer. Your mom texted me a photo from the party. She offered, like conversation on a talk show. Ava looked so happy. She did, I said. Maybe we both overreacted. she went on. Family stuff gets tangled. Untangle it, I replied. Starting now. She reached for my forearm, a small touch that used to mean a lot. I'm trying. I can tell, I said. Keep going. It was the first illusion in decent theater. I let it sit, but I didn't drink it. 2 days later, after school, Ava was helping me pick up the living room because I'd put Saturday cartoons on a schedule too. She dug a hand between the couch cushions and popped up with a tiny flash drive. Silver, no label. Treasure, she declared. Nice catch, I told her, and slipped it into my pocket. I'll see what it is later. Is it mine? If it's a cartoon, you get first dibs. If it's Dad's boring spreadsheets, you'll survive. I walked it to my office after she went to her room. I shut the door. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that has thin walls. I plugged it into the laptop and watched the icon appear on the screen. One file, no name, timestamp from last week. I didn't hit play. I just stared at the name, untitled, like it had a voice. In my head, the gate clicked. The grill smoke blew sideways. Scott's paws stretched. Julia's 22 minutes unrolled like a tape measure. The light laugh, the brush at the elbow, the practiced sarcasm on the patio. I could almost hear Scott's line again. You're predictable. She's not built for boredom. I let the file sit and thought about Ava's science project on the kitchen counter, the calendar with her choir practice, the note from her teacher about reading logs. I thought about what grows in kids when adults start playing secret games. I saw myself a year ahead, asking for the truth for the 49th time. I saw that version of me, and I didn't like him. I opened the file. The camera framed our bedroom from the corner by the dresser. No makeup, bad light. Julia sat cross-legged on the floor, hair tied back, eyes straight into the lens. No angles. No smile. I crossed a line, she said. It wasn't an accident. I don't feel guilty about it. Scott woke me up. Mark hasn't seen me in years. I told Mark I was slammed at work those weekends, but we were in Sedona. I think I don't love him anymore, and I don't care if this comes out. She blinked once into the cheap camera. Then she reached forward and stopped the recording. I watched it full once. Then I watched the first 10 seconds again, because people say everything important at the start. The admission, the location, the shrug at fallout. It was all there. Neat. Clean. Final. I pulled my phone and typed. Don't come home. I found a flash drive. I watched it. I hit send. Then I closed the laptop and sat in the quiet. No rage. No pacing. Just a decision with the shape of a desk. I forwarded the school pickup to my phone, messaged my buddy from work to cover a morning meeting, and pulled a folder from the cabinet labeled household. Mortgage data. Insurance. The kind of stuff you never think you'll need to look at with one hand. Julia beat the message by 10 minutes. She came in fast, keys hard on the counter. She went straight for the office like she knew where the noise would be. What did you watch? She demanded, chest high, chin higher. You on the floor? I said. No makeup. Clear voice. Give me the drive, she said. It's on the desk. She yanked it from the port like it was a snake. You had no right. You recorded it in my house. Delete it. I don't need it. She snapped the little stick across the corner of the desk. The plastic cracked. She flung both halves to the floor like a magician hiding the trick. Then she stared at me, waiting for the blowback that never came. I bent, picked up the pieces, dropped them in the trash can. You just confirmed it twice, I said. That's enough. You're making drama. I'm making decisions, I replied. Don't come home tonight. Keys on the hook, stay. I'll text you about Ava's schedule for the week. She laughed once, ugly and thin. You think you can lock me out of my life? I can lock my gate, I said, and I can set my terms. You won't keep this up, she fired. You never keep anything up. Watch me, I told her. She took a step forward like she might try to push past me for the laptop. I didn't move. She wasn't going through me. There are stances you learn by living. You're going to blow up your own house over a video, she said. No, I answered. I'm going to rebuild it. Over a video. That's not how this works, Mark. It is now. She left. The slam of the front door was a poor substitute for an argument. I looked at the trash can again, at the cracked plastic lying face up like a small black tooth. Then I went to the kitchen, wiped down the counter again, and set out a bowl for Ava's cereal in the morning. I didn't sleep long. I didn't need to. Quiet felt good for the first time in months. The next day, I took Ava to school early and called a mediator's office from the parking lot. I booked the first slot they had. I called the bank about a refinance projection and drew a circle around the number that would hurt for a while and then stop hurting. I texted Julia a short list. You can see Ava Tuesday and Thursday after school, drop off by 7 p.m. I'll handle everything else this week. We will discuss assets after mediation. Please don't come by unannounced. She answered an hour later. No apology. Just a line I could have written for her. Sounds extreme. Let's talk at home. We were off script now. Home wasn't a meeting room anymore. At noon, she showed up at my shop, small electrical business we built by hand and sweat. Walk-ins usually want a breaker replaced or a quote for a panel. Julia arrived with a paper bag and a smile that belonged to a different decade. I brought lunch, she announced into the open doorway where my tech, Dan, was labeling transformers. Surprise. Dan glanced at me and tried to vanish behind a shelf. He's 25 and allergic to domestic fireworks. I'm good, I told her. I ate. She lifted the bag higher. Turkey on rye, the way you used to like it. That was years ago, I said. Things change. She set the bag on my desk like a flag. We can fix this. You overreacted last night. I was angry. You were angry. Nobody thinks clearly after midnight. Good news, I replied. I'm thinking very clearly at noon. She stepped closer and lowered her tone. We can be adults. You don't want to hurt Ava. I'm the only one in this room who centered her in the plan, I answered. That is unfair. What's unfair is you making a video and keeping it in our living room like a trophy. Her mouth twitched. That was complicated. It was simple enough to press record. You want me to beg? Her eyes flashed with something I didn't know a name. Is that the angle here? I want you to hear reality, I said. We're separating the schedule. We'll mediate. I'll buy your share of the house. You'll be in the loop about Ava. That's the plan. She tried a softer face. We can try counseling first. Your video was counseling, I replied. It saved me time. Dan coughed in the back. I raised a hand without turning. Grab lunch, Dan. Take your time. He disappeared like smoke. Julia reached for my wrist again. Mark, please. Stop, I said, not unkind and not soft. Don't touch me at work. Don't show up without text. This is my place. She pulled her hand back like it had landed on a hot stove. For the first time, her voice lowered for real. So you're done. I'm finished with disrespect, I told her. The rest is paperwork. Her face hardened again. You'll regret this. I regret not doing it sooner. She left the lunch on the desk and walked out with that quick, practiced pace that says you have the last word. The bell on the door did the talking instead. I called the mediator back and pushed the date sooner. I called my bank contact again. I called my dad and told him not to invite Scott over the next few weeks when I brought Ava by. Dad was quiet for a long second, then said, Understood. No lecture, no speech. He's a man who knows when words fix nothing. That evening, Julia tried the other kind of soft, overdoing it. She came early for pickup with a bag of craft supplies for Ava, a big smile, a voice like a radio host. We're making a scrapbook, she told our daughter, bright and wide. You'll love it. Ava looked up at me, searching. I kept my voice steady. Have fun. Back by 7. We can go till 8, Julia chirped. It's an art thing. 7, I repeated. Julia gave me a thin look over Ava's head. Fine. At 6:59 she texted, running late, be there in 20. At 7:20 she texted a photo of Ava holding a glitter glue bottle with the caption, We're almost done, don't be rigid. I replied, 7 means 7. Drop her on time. They pulled in at 7:36. Julia walked Ava to the door, all sunshine. We lost track of time. Ava handed me the scrapbook cover with pride. Dad, look. It's great, I told her. Brush your teeth. Julia lingered on the porch. You trying to make me the bad guy to our daughter? I don't need to try, I said quietly. Tom does it for me. You love your rules. I love my kid, I answered. Rules keep her world straight. Her eyes shot to the new keypad on the side gate, then back to me. You changed the code. I did, I said. That gate is mine. The next day, I met with the mediator. Short, factual. I laid out the plan. Primary schedule with me because of consistency with school and my fixed hours. Generous time with Julia that she could keep if she respected it. Buyout of the house with a bank loan under my name. Clean division of cash. No bickering about dishes or lamps. The mediator liked the lack of drama. She said nothing about Sedona because I didn't bring it up. I wasn't building a case. I was building a new calendar. Julia's reply came through her, then in a text to me. I'll agree to sell my share of the house if you don't make this ugly. I want a fair number. I want my own place. I can be a great mom from there. We'll do it fast, I wrote back. And clean. When we sat down together to sign the first stack, she arrived dressed like a neutral day, hair neat, tone reasonable. It was the prototype of her third act, composed, practical, nearly friendly. She made comments about the housing market and schools. She didn't bring Scott's name, and I didn't either. There was nothing to argue. I wanted the house for Ava's routine. She wanted cash and space. A line on a page makes you honest. After the meeting, she followed me out to the parking lot. You don't have to shut me out, she said, like she was offering a treat to a dog. I don't shut you out, I replied. I shut the door on the old terms. We can rebuild trust. Trust isn't a Lego set, I said. You don't snap it back together. Stop with the one-liners, she snapped. You're not on a stage. I'm on my feet, I said, and got in my truck. She tried one more play the following week, Public Grace. She joined a group of our friends at a barbecue, the same crowd from Ava's birthday, and she worked the patio like a candidate. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to more people. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. Laughing with Sarah about yoga, asking Tom about his new roof, telling Beth she admired single parents and how tough routines can be. Our friends looked at me over beer bottles, measuring whether I'd crack the facade. She approached me near the grill with a plate. Want a burger? Medium, no onions. The way you like it. I'm not hungry, I said, and you don't remember how I like it. She lowered her voice. Be cordial. I'm civil, I replied, and I won't help you audition. That line stung. She flinched small, recovered, and drifted away to the shade. The rest of the night, she kept a new distance. I stayed long enough for Ava to roast a marshmallow, then left with a simple wave that answered 5 unasked questions. 2 weeks later, the bank cleared the numbers. I signed the refinance that afternoon, took the hit that would make the next few years leaner and cleaner, and scheduled a locksmith. I boxed Julia's things, labeled each with a room, set them in the garage by the door like deliveries. I left her a list for pickup times when I'd be out with Ava. No drama, just check boxes. When she came for the boxes, she stood in the garage longer than any one human should stare at cardboard. So this is it. This is it, I confirmed. You didn't even ask me why. You told the camera why. I leaned against the doorframe, not blocking anything, just not moving. You wanted a new story and my stability at the same time. You don't get both. You think you're above mistakes, she tried. I think I'm done paying for them, I said. She picked up a box, then set it down. You know what Scott said? He said you were always going to pick the moral high ground because that's the only ground you know. He said you'd make yourself lonely and right. I smiled small. Scott always did confuse discipline with loneliness. She swallowed that. You two aren't speaking? Correct, I said. He lost access to me when he learned to whisper. You'll come around. I won't. You really think you can cut your own brother? I can remove a splinter, I said. Blood doesn't make it part of the bone. She looked at the boxes again. I didn't want it to end like this. You ended it in our bedroom on a cheap camera, I answered. This is the clean version. Do you want me to apologize? Her voice had a tremor like a performance note. I want you to be on time for your daughter, I said. That's it. She loaded the boxes, one by one. No more speeches. The garage door slid down with a finality I didn't need to language. I sat with Ava at the dining table that night mapping out the next month. Choir on Tuesdays, practice on Thursdays, I said, penciling it in. I'll be in the front row for the concert. Deal. Deal, she said, then looked up from her markers. Will Mom be there? She'll have a seat, I replied. We're all there for you. That doesn't change. She nodded like an 8-year-old who knows more than adults think she does, and returned to coloring. I kept my phone clean. No midnight texts. No relapses into old patterns. I blocked Scott's number after one last message. Don't contact me or show up. If you want to see Ava, it goes through me and on the schedule, and I made that schedule look like a calendar with a spine. Weeks went by. We finalized the bank transfer to Julia cleanly. She took a rental across town with a complex pool and a gym she would use for exactly 3 photos. She posted nice angles of a new lamp and a balcony plant. She stuck to the schedule for a while, then started playing with minutes at the edges. I didn't bite. Ava's life got boring in the best ways. Homework, choir, a playdate with a neighbor kid who is shy and loves drawing. I learned which nights the laundry needed to start by 7 to be folded by 9 to be ready by morning. That's what order looks like, details that work. I ran into Scott once at a home improvement store and pushing a cart he didn't need, me grabbing outlet covers. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I stopped a few feet away, gave him the courtesy you give a stranger you used to know. "I'll make it simple," I said. "You lost me. You don't get me back." He tried a joke because that's his only glove. "You're really going to hold this forever?" "I'm not holding anything," I said. I put it down. "You're angry." I was. "Now I'm done. You're going to regret cutting family." "I'm going to sleep well," I answered and walked. He didn't follow. He didn't call. He just became a man in an aisle with a cart and nowhere to put it. 3 months out, Julia tried one last move. She texted at night. We could try a weekend trip with Ava for old time's sake. Reset. Healthy for her. I stared at the phone for 10 seconds and felt nothing. "No," I wrote. "We don't do pretend." Her reply came 2 minutes later. "You'll be alone." I stared at that too. Then I put the phone down, checked on the dish in the oven, and helped Ava with math she didn't like. Alone is a word people use when they think quiet equals loss. Sometimes quiet is just quiet. The day the refinance cleared and the deed reflected what it needed to, I stood in the doorway of the living room and said what I hadn't let myself say out loud. "This is my house." It wasn't pride. It was inventory. I cleaned the garage, hung the bikes, put the toolbox on a proper shelf, and replaced the flimsy cooler with one that didn't require trips to a garage we no longer shared. When Julia showed up that week for pickup, she glanced around the yard like it remembered her. "You did the lights," she said, nodding at the clean string across the fence. "I did," I said. "They look good." "They're functional," I answered. "You always liked things to work," she said, a small smile like she was reaching for old shorthand. "I like respect," I corrected. "Working is a bonus." She looked like she had more to say, then didn't. Ava ran out with her backpack and a new drawing for Mom. Julia took the paper like a peace treaty, made a pleasant noise, and they left on time. On time was a win, and I marked it. We closed everything out a week later. Final transfers, final signatures. The mediator shook both our hands. Julia left first. I waited until the door shut. Then I stood, thanked the woman who'd kept the voices low, and walked out into the afternoon. The sky was just a sky. No symbolism. I drove home, made a simple dinner, and texted a photo of Ava's reading log to her teacher because that's the league I play in now. Some people want fireworks at the end. I wanted the lights off at 10 and a morning that started at 6 with the coffee I make for myself. Months passed. The house started feeling like mine and Ava's, because it was. The calendar settled. I hired another tech at the shop and landed a good contract with a small builder who appreciated punctual electricians. Money got tight after the refinance, then reasonable. I bought a used SUV that didn't care about status. I learned the names of the parents at chorus, said yes when the director asked for someone to carry chairs, said no when the same director tried to push a fundraiser onto me because I'm good at logistics. Being useful is not the same as being used. I met someone in a way boring enough to work. Claire. She runs a small landscaping crew, shows up with a tape measure, smells like soil and soap, laughs with her eyes before her mouth. We dated slow. She didn't ask for history. I didn't give speeches. She came over one Saturday when Ava was at a play date and measured my sad front bed. "You need something hardy," she said. "Nothing flashy. Plants that do their job." "Sold," I said. She didn't try to fix me. She just put hands on earth and made a clean line. That's a kind of language I understand. We never talked about Julia except once, when Claire asked, "Anything I should know?" "Yes," I said. "I have a daughter. Her schedule comes first." "Good," she said. "That means I know where you'll be when you say you'll be there." That's all. I hear things about Julia the way you hear weather from another town. She moved again, smaller place. The schedule with Ava is still there, but she shifted to every other weekend because it fits her hours better. She posts less. People tell me she went to Sedona once more, alone this time. I don't judge the geography. I don't care about the itinerary. I care that our kids' math homework goes in on time. Scott vanished from the family chat. Dad took his time and then called it what it was. He'll come around when he learns how to be a brother again. Mom sends photos of Ava from the yard when she visits, texts me questions about snacks without sneaking commentary. We see them every Sunday for lunch. No champagne speeches, no forced laughter. We eat, we clear plates, we watch the game. It's not therapy. It's people who don't lie. Sometimes, when I take out the trash at night, I glance at the side gate and remember the 22 minutes, the way a minor chord sits in your ear after a song. It doesn't sting anymore. It just marks the spot where the story turned. If you're looking for a dramatic final line, I'll give you this one from that night in the office when she smashed the plastic and tried to bury what was already true. She said, "You can't keep this up." "I can," I told her. "And I will." That was the moment it ended. Not the trash can. Not the mediator. Not the locks. It ended when I decided that respect wasn't a request. It was a condition. The rest of it, new schedule, new keys, new plants in the front bed, was just follow through.